he's one of those hair on fire guys, which is good when he's on your side. For me, this just boils down to one thing, plain and simple. Like, I think we actually talked about it on Monday's pod about how much better they could be, or on a recent pod, I know we talked about how much better they could be if they just got a center fielder or even moved. I thought they, with the guys they had, even if you want to move Drew Gilbert to center and put John Cooley in right field, I just thought it would be a big step up. Now Bader is obviously a much more accomplished version of that. Former Gold Glove winner, very good defensively his whole career. The metrics continue to stand up as he gets into his 30s. Sprint speed is still good, so like physically he seems like he's still in a place where for 2 years he can continue to do this. And I think it was a very obvious move. One of those guys that, like, we talked about him earlier in the offseason, but just made sense as a Giant this offseason. And two, I just think getting it done for a reasonable cost, and presumably, deal is not official yet. He had a physical, hasn't been announced. We have not talked to Buster or Tony or Harrison did a couple podcasts, but we assume, and from what I've heard too, a little bit, is the plan is for him to be the center fielder and Jung-Hoo Lee moves to right field, which means you are much better defensively in center field. You are probably defensively better than you were in right field, at least last year, aside from Drew Gilbert. And a lot is taken off Jung-Hoo Lee's plate. So there's a lot of, like, aside from just the obvious of adding this guy, I think there's a lot of added value in other areas that makes Drew Gilbert more of a fourth guy for now, as opposed to starting in right field on opening day, although he does have the number for it. But I just think it's a small move that I think could potentially be really impactful in multiple ways.
We have talked a good amount on this podcast about moving Jung-Hoo Lee out of center field just because of how many better options there were with the glove. And it really seemed like it just wasn't going to happen. We had heard like they were, but it turns out bringing in a whole new guy, a defensive expert, if you will, a veteran, is what it took.
It's amazing, Alex, the number of guys over the years that when you do games like we do, the number of guys the Giants acquired that I didn't like at all when they were in other uniforms. And Harrison Bader is on that squad. I remember when he came up with the Cardinals, he was cocky. He had this swagger. He did these things where he'd hit a double and he'd get on second base and he'd do this stuff or, do all that stuff. And I'm thinking, oh, somebody drill this guy. He's wearing me out. He's killing me. And I think he's probably toned it down a little bit. But this is exactly what Buster wants. Buster wants guys that the other team doesn't like at all. And Harrison Bader, at least when he was younger, was exactly like that. And like I said, I don't think he's changed that much. So it's going to be interesting. Plus, you're right, Alex. He kind of fits what the Giants need. He checks the boxes as far as defensively. They can move Jung-Hoo to right. And he's not an OUT. He's not an out. He can be productive even given the fact that he's probably a 250 lifetime hitter. But it's a productive 250. Okay. So I think it's kind of a no-brainer. I don't think the contract, if you look at it, I actually think they probably got a bargain given the money that's being handed out right now.